So we got the CRX dropped off. We're going to be working on it, adding a couple of things to it. This was built motor, if I recall. So I'm not quite sure how much power it made. I believe about 500. So that's plenty. So we're going to be doing some gauges, radio, rear backup camera, and a couple of odd things. So I'll kind of take you on a tour as we go through it, but just kind of want to show you what we're working with today. So hopefully the customer can show me what this thing can do once it's all done. First step we have to do in this CRX is to remove the center panel. All these gauges are going to be coming off and they will be moved to the pillar. This was for the AEM wideband. I already took it off just because I don't know how it was plugged in there or how tight it was. But I got that thing out already. The 3 pillar would go here. The wideband would be in the same spot, and then you got the boost gauge and the oil pressure up here. We're also going to be doing a double din. Somehow relocate this part right here. I don't know where I'm gonna put it yet, but the customer did have a replacement double din piece, so we're gonna be using that. We're also gonna be doing the rear view camera. He did get the one that goes here, the clips on, but I suggested to have it on the new radio so it'll trigger whenever you put it in reverse. It's better that way. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take you in a little tour on how to do this part. He just got this back from the shop, so it's got rebuild motor, things like that. But yeah, we'll go ahead and begin by taking this part off and then see what we're working with. As you may already know, to get this off, there'll be a screw right here, down here, and then one more down to the side. Also one on the bottom right here, and then here. And then this whole thing should be loose and ready to pull out. So yeah, that should be the only way to take it off. Moving on to the next step. So here's what we are working with as far as under the dash. I'm gonna go ahead and figure all this stuff out to see what the heck is all these. Go ahead and unplug your battery just to make sure. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and redo more than what I expected, so yeah, we're gonna keep moving on and then move forward. So here are the equipment that's going in the CRX. Obviously oil pressure, boost. Like I said, I'm not going to be using the screen. Radios from Max Speeding Rods. So I've never really done one of these, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick review once it's all done. It's a pretty small radio, so we'll go ahead and unbox everything, see what it all comes with, along with the gauges and the rear view camera, and show you what all that includes. So to access everything else, we're going to go ahead and take off the radio that was installed here and see what the wiring looks like. But so far, we're going to be removing whatever that switch is for and the USB ports, as that's not going to be needed. Yeah, it looks like they only did 2 screws and it's not really held in there that good, but that's going to be all replaced. So apparently the gauge pod is supposed to be for a CRX, but it's already all the way down, but somehow it doesn't line up right here. So looks like we may have to cut, I'd say like right here, so it'll kind of fit in. I'll measure something and then cut it and then go from there. Looks like we're going to be doing a little bit of trimming, so just kind of notch off these edges, that way it'll somewhat fit in there. Apparently it's too long and won't fit. The bottom one lines up, but somehow that extra one won't let it sit at the actual stock pillar. So yeah, go ahead and cut it, test fit, go from there. For this part, I ended up taking off the pillar trim, drilled 3 holes, so it'll be kind of behind here, so you can run all your wires. This calls for a 7/32 drill bit, so 7/32. So go ahead and put that on top. Drill 4 holes. That's how you mount using these push locks. So once everything is drilled, this is how it should look. We got 2 here, 1 here, and 1 here. So let's go ahead and test fit it, see if everything goes well. For the gauges for this part, you're only going to have a 12 volt in ground, so it's pretty self-explanatory. Obviously black is ground, 12 volt is the black with red. So you can tap that into a positive parking light if you want, so it'll always come on only at nighttime, or you can have it wired to ignition, so it's always going to have a light when the car is running. That's pretty much your option. For the oil pressure, the gauge is going to come with some fittings. Obviously just insert the tube, and there's going to be like a little a ball in there that you have to insert the wire to, so it'll kind of lock in. So this is pretty much ready. Yeah, let's go ahead and start placing everything in. So we're going to attempt to try and start cutting this thing to fit the max speeding rods doubled in. It is a little bit smaller, so I'm going to have to try to trim it slowly and then see where I need to trim more. But so far this is just a general idea. So just cut this and then cut just the top part, and then we'll start from that. So I got the factory one kind of cut up a little bit, so just kind of see, you're just kind of taking off the back but not completely take this off. Here's kind of what I came up with. This is just a trim ring from a Honda double din kit. As you can see, it's not perfectly centered, so I'm going to be kind of sanding this area off just so it'll slide back in a little bit so I can center it. So I'll go ahead and do that. You can use one of these and just kind of go slow, take your time. Here's kind of what I came up with. Just kind of show you real quick. That's the one I have to sand down, so now it's a little bit more centered. So now it actually goes all the way to the one corner, and everything still works like how it should be. So far we're on the right track. Go ahead and try to mount the radio, and then we'll figure out how to mount this to that. So this is by far the hardest step to the whole install. Trying to get this radio to sit in the middle while putting this trim on. Make sure you have it tight to where once the radio is pretty much screwed in, these things would sit flat like that, so you can glue it in. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick pilot hole and drill to this metal pieces same way. But yeah, just try to put a wedge right here. As you can see, it's pretty much going to cover it like how it should. So here's a progress so far. I just drove a self-tapping screw on the side just to kind of hold it. But overall, this is what it's going to look. These parts are kind of going to sit flat, so I'm going to use glue for that part. As you can see right here. So I'm going to use glue to hold that in place. And that's all it is just basically a trim ring. So there's nothing really even fancy to it other than just to kind of cover all the gaps. The only gap you'll see is this, but you won't really see that once it's in the car. So, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and keep driving on and finish this install. So, different day, we're just kind of test fitting the double din just to kind of see how it looks. It actually don't even look that bad even without the cage yet, but that trim I'm still gonna put in just to kind of make it look a little bit more presentable than seeing all that gaps all around. But right now I'm just kind of test fitting it just to see if it's even gonna work, but we'll go ahead and keep trying that. I'm gonna put back the center console trim just so I can see where the trim is gonna be glued to. So, but just to kind of give you an idea and overall so far, like I said, it doesn't look too bad, but I still want to cover all that gaps on the top, side, and bottom. So what I'm doing now is kind of just putting tape. I'm going to be putting a hot ABS glue to it, that way I don't over apply it. So that's just kind of like a little barrier. I'm going to inject some from the bottom, the sides, and the top, just to kind of keep it secured a little bit. So yeah, we are almost done with this radio. So far, seems to be working fine. Here we are so far. I got the trim bezel ABS glued there. I just kind of dabbed a little bit on the corners. Even though you can see it from here, once you have the center console, that will be all hidden. So I already test fitted it, and you pretty much can't see all these little ABS glue stick that you can see right now. So overall, it does fit pretty good. I already added ABS glue in the back too. Now mind you, they don't really have a double ding kit for this particular radio, so I'm kind of just trial and error as I go, but so far it's holding pretty good. So we're going to be wiring everything up, run the backup camera, and get this thing pretty much checked off the list. So I ran into a little issue with the reverse camera. It's actually a camera that only works with the rear view mirror that it came with. So we're gonna go ahead and ditch that and use one of these Boyo VTL171 or 7IR. This actually works directly with any double din, so we're gonna be using this, and it's license plate mounted, so it's kind of a little better. So we're gonna go ahead and run this to the inside and then continue with the install. So I'm going to show you the camera. I obviously mounted it already. I drilled a small hole, put a grommet right here, and just kind of run along the harness. It's tucked in underneath. I did not wire this amp and sub, so I'm just kind of working around it. Zip tied it to the fuel line. This was also already like this, so I kind of just tapped into the ground that they have already, ring terminal, everything tight, so we can go ahead and put back the floor, and then that camera should be on its way to the front to get wired in. I think what I'm gonna do as far as the panel, I think I'm gonna take off all of them, and without the plate, mount it kind of like lined up right here. To me, that might kind of look a lot cleaner in my opinion. So I'm still kind of back and forth, but I mean, it's kind of gonna sit like this. Well, I guess I'll take it off and then see what happens from there, but I think it'll look pretty decent, so I guess we'll find out. I'll try it out and then kind of see where we go from there. So I just kind of went ahead and replaced the terminals. They were kind of holding on for dear life. So this one I ended up replacing it with the sealed spade terminal. This is what it used to be. So yeah, replaced both of them. Just a little quick upgrade, I suppose. Let's go ahead and start tracing the template. I'm going to be tracing it like right here. Trace all that hole and then transfer it over, and we'll see how that looks. So I went ahead and drilled the holes for the push button, the two switches, and then the kill switch right here on the side. So in my opinion, this looks a little cleaner instead of having that big plate. You just need a step drill bit from Harbor Freight. That's all you really need. Don't drill too fast. Kind of test fit the holes or measure it. That's the best way to do it. But I got everything pretty much dialed in, and we're gonna go ahead and start wiring the radio. So we are moving on to wiring up the radio. We're gonna go ahead and remove this and transfer over the new wiring harness. This one only has 2 speakers. So we're gonna go ahead and wire everything up, and we are almost done. So I had a little hiccup on trying to mount these switches at their new location. I did have to end up extending them out. That way I can have the center console up higher to where I can reach everything and insert them all from the inside. I also had to, I may as well redo the wiring a little bit. So put new leads, go ahead and test it out, and hopefully this time it works. So we got everything done, back together. This is kind of how you operate the system. Turn the battery on. Fuel pump. Fan. Start. And then for the rear view camera, you can actually manually turn it on and off with that, since this car doesn't have a reverse output. Flip the switch, you're in reverse, turn it off. That's pretty much it. So I'm kind of on and off on the switch. I'm gonna try to take off the handle itself and just have basically just the cap, so it looks kind of cleaner. So hopefully that works out. So some last minute changes to this thing. I needed to go and get a fuse holder, and the terminal. I didn't even realize this car didn't have a fuse at the battery location. But here's the cap right here, the one that I had to trim. So it actually looks better in there without that big thing. So yeah, just that. So just a quick recap on what we all did. Already got the gauges done, air fuel, boost, and oil pressure. Obviously the radio. The switches are done, and here's the thing that I had to cut. So just to kind of show you real quick. And it does work with the light. And the water temperature stayed there, so that's what he wanted. So yeah, helps out a little bit. Obviously the radio, reverse. So far everything works. Off to the next car.